I want you to picture the exact moment it happens. You've spent months, maybe even years, just grinding away on your channel.
Oh, absolutely. It's an intense grind.
Right. You're scripting videos at 2 a.m, painstakingly building up your watch time and learning the absolute dark art of creating the perfect thumbnail that people actually want to click.
Yeah, that is a science in itself.
It really is. And then you do it. You cross the finish line. You finally hit the YouTube Partner Program milestones. It's just this massive moment.
You're ready to celebrate.
Exactly. So you open up YouTube Studio, you navigate over to that Earn tab, completely expecting this easy breezy victory lap. And instead, you just slam headfirst into a massive, confusing brick wall right at something called Step 2.
Yeah. It is arguably, it's the ultimate momentum killer in a creator's journey.
So true.
You're mentally prepared to celebrate, to finally see some actual return on all that sweat equity, and the system just flashes this generic, super unhelpful error at you.
It feels like a door just slamming right in your face just as you were invited to the party.
Literally.
Yeah. So today we are taking a deep dive into the August 2026 definitive guide on solving the dreaded YouTube AdSense Step 2 error. And the core mission of this deep dive is to prove to you that this specific error is not, it's not a rejection of your content.
Right. It's not a human judging your videos.
Exactly. It's not a human at Google passing judgment on your quality.
Mm-hmm.
It is purely an account history puzzle just waiting to be solved.
So, okay, let's unpack this. We need to transition from the sheer emotional frustration of staring at that error message to an analytical breakdown of what's actually happening in the servers.
Taking a breath and really looking behind the curtain is essential here.
Mm-hmm.
Because behind that one, deceptively simple screen in YouTube Studio, you're dealing with several incredibly complex interlocking Google systems.
It looks so simple on the surface, right? Just a connect button. Right. It looks like you're just clicking a button, but technically you are attempting to execute this massive multi-way authentication handshake. You're trying to sync the Google account used to control YouTube, the Google account used to access AdSense, your actual legal payee identity in the real world.
Which is a huge distinction.
Exactly. Plus the specific channel's data and sometimes even a complex brand account management structure. So it is a highly sensitive matching process with absolute zero tolerance for ambiguity.
Which means to actually solve the error, we have to start with the fundamental law of Google's financial ecosystem. This is like the absolute bedrock rule that trips up almost every single new creator, right?
It is. The rule is aggressively strict. A person or a business entity can only possess one AdSense or AdSense for YouTube account under a given pay name, period.
Just one.
Just one. If Google's matching algorithm detects even a whiff of a duplicate account existing somewhere in their massive database, it automatically throws the brakes on and disapproves the new application. What's fascinating here is how our everyday internet habits completely betray us in this specific situation.
Oh, I totally agree. Modern web design has entirely trained you to think you can have as many accounts as you want.
Right. You probably have a professional email, a messy personal email, and a junk email address you use exclusively to collect discount codes from clothing stores.
Guilty. Yeah, I definitely have a spam inbox.
We all do. We treat digital accounts as totally disposable. But AdSense is fundamentally different because it involves legal pay identities, international banking regulations, and tax structures. It's a highly regulated financial clearinghouse. It's not just a login portal for a social app.
I always think of it like getting a driver's license or a passport.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah, because you can have 10 different email addresses to sign up for streaming services. But the government only allows you to hold one official legal identity document. You can't just walk into the DMV and print a brand new license under a new email just because you forgot which drawer you left the first one in.
Exactly. They have to match the person to the single existing record.
Right. But I think the emotional disconnect for the creator comes from the actual location of the error. You're inside YouTube Studio, staring at your channel's monetization page. When a big red error pops up right there, your brain automatically assumes there is something wrong with your channel.
That is the ultimate psychological trap. The channel and the payment processing account are completely separate pieces of software housed in completely different parts of Google's infrastructure.
So they aren't even really talking to each other the way we think they are.
No, not at all. YouTube is effectively just telling you, hey, we're trying to build the bridge to send you money, but the destination port on the other side is blocked. The algorithm literally does not care if your last video got 1 million views or 10 views.
It's purely an administrative block.
Purely administrative, yes.
Okay, so If the issue is simply that a duplicate identity exists in the database, my instinct is that finding it should be like a 2-minute search. But the guide makes it very clear that this is a notoriously difficult process for creators. There seems to be this massive structural disconnect between how you log into YouTube and how you log into AdSense.
This specific disconnect causes more frustration than anything else in the entire monetization process. The Google account you use to sign in and upload videos to YouTube can be entirely different from the Google account you use to log into AdSense and actually check your revenue.
They don't have to be the same email address.
They absolutely do not.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because of that separation, you could be dealing with the ghosts of your own digital past without even realizing.
No, the digital ghosts are real.
Right. We're talking about an old, forgotten blog you started a decade ago, or maybe a random gaming channel you monetized for 3 weeks in high school, or some abandoned mobile app you tried to build.
Yeah, any of those will do it.
Even if you haven't logged into that ancient email address in 8 years, the AdSense identity attached to it is still perfectly alive, just sitting quietly on a server.
And that ghost is exactly what trips the security wire. When you apply today, Google systems don't just look at the new email address you typed in. They run a fuzzy matching algorithm.
So they're digging deep.
Very deep. They scrape your legal payee name. They look at the exact formatting of your physical home address. They might even cross-reference the IP footprints or phone numbers associated with your broader Google profile.
Wow.
Yeah. And if that algorithm spits out, say, a 90% match with an AdSense account created back in 2014, the system immediately halts the process. It does not matter that the old account is tied to an ancient Yahoo address you haven't thought about in a decade.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
If I'm sitting down right now, I'm signed into YouTube with a pristine, highly professional, dedicated email address just for my brand new channel, why won't Google just let me overwrite the old one?
I hear that question a lot.
Shouldn't they want everything neat and tidy under my new professional email? It just seems super counterintuitive that they would force me to link my new business to a messy email from 2016.
It definitely seems counterintuitive until you separate the concept of channel control from payment authority.
Okay, break that down for us.
So the login credentials for YouTube prove that you have the authority to manage the videos, read the comments, and upload content. The login for AdSense proves you are the legally verified entity who can actually receive the money.
Got it. 2 different jobs.
Exactly. Google's architecture is deliberately built to allow you to authenticate the channel with one email and then explicitly choose a completely different, highly secure Google account to act as the actual bank vault.
So if you try to force the payment authority onto your brand new YouTube email, when a perfectly valid older AdSense account already exists for your legal identity.
That is the exact mechanism that triggers the duplicate error. You are essentially trying to forge a second identity.
That makes total sense when you frame it around security. And I'll admit, when I first read through the source material on this, I had to read the section on brand accounts like 3 times before it finally clicked. It gets incredibly messy when you add managers to a channel.
Oh, brand accounts introduce a crucial anti-hijacking mechanism. Think about how many large channels operate today.
Right, they have teams.
Exactly. You might hire an editor or social media manager and grant them access to upload videos to your brand account. If one of those managers decides to go rogue, you absolutely do not want them to have the ability to reroute the AdSense connection to their own personal bank account.
Yeah, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
So when a creator hits that generic, oops, something went wrong, error during setup, it might just be the anti-hijacking system doing its job.
Precisely. YouTube often expects the financial handshake to be verified using the email address of the person who originally created the channel, the primary owner.
Makes sense.
If a secondary manager tries to initiate the monetization setup using their own credentials, the system throws an error because it sees someone without payment authority trying to touch the vault.
So we've established that this is a chain of authority. You prove you control the channel, then you prove who the money legally goes to, and you cannot have 2 identities doing the latter. So if the problem is a buried digital history, my first instinct as a frustrated creator is to just go straight to AdSense.com, hit forgot password, create a bunch of new accounts, and just hammer the system until something finally goes through.
I completely understand the impulse, but it is the single worst action you can take.
Really? The worst.
You have to compare it to trying to clear a paper jam by forcing 10 more sheets of paper into the printer.
Oh man, that's a stressful image.
Right. You aren't clearing the queue. You are just creating a vastly thicker, more complicated data jam for Google's matching algorithm to decipher. Every single time you submit a new application out of panic, you generate another duplicate flag on your profile.
They're just thrashing in quicksand.
You're just pulling yourself. Yeah, exactly.
So to actually resolve this, the guide emphasizes shifting your mindset entirely. You are no longer a video creator trying to fix a broken channel. You are now a forensic accountant investigating your own digital footprint.
You have to enter strict investigation mode. And the rules for this diagnostic phase are absolute. Do not create new AdSense accounts under the same payee name.
Check.
And crucially, do not go to the standalone AdSense website to try and start the process. You must always initiate the setup from inside YouTube Studio, specifically on the monetization tab, so the internal systems carry the correct digital tokens to link the channel to the payment processor.
The audit process itself is fascinating because it literally forces you to map out your online life. You have to sit down and literally write out a physical list of every single Google account, email address, or alias you have ever possessed.
Every single one. We are talking about the email you use for a group project in college, the joint account you made with an ex-partner, and especially any legacy business accounts.
The guide actually specifically calls out workspace addresses as a major stumbling block. I think a lot of people just view a custom domain email they got from an old employer or their university as just another inbox.
From a database perspective, Google treats workspace addresses, those custom corporate or educational domains, as entirely distinct organizational entities.
So they don't mix well with personal info.
Exactly. If you try to cross a corporate entity email with a personal legal payee name in the AdSense system, it completely scrambles the matching algorithm. It creates this mismatched identity profile that the system will automatically reject. You have to trace back to standard personal accounts.
Okay, so once you compile this massive list of every digital identity you've ever held, the next step is to physically log into those inboxes and search for the smoking gun. You are looking for automated emails from AdSense no reply at google.com or searching for exact phrases like existing AdSense account. And there is a massive technical pro tip here from the guide that could save creators weeks of pain. You must conduct this entire investigation and setup process using a private browsing window or incognito mode.
The private browsing mechanism is non-negotiable. Think about how your standard web browser operates. It holds active session tokens for convenience.
Because it wants to keep you logged in.
Right. So if you have 4 different Gmail accounts logged in simultaneously on your main browser, like your work, your personal, your channel email, it is incredibly easy for the browser to autofill or auto-select the wrong session token when YouTube asks you to authenticate the AdSense connection.
Oh, I see. You think you are clicking continue as your new channel, but the browser secretly hands Google the ID card for your junk mail account.
Exactly. A private browsing window strips all of those saved session tokens away. It forces a completely clean slate, requiring you to manually type in the exact username and password you want to use. It mechanically prevents your browser from accidentally linking the wrong active account in the background.
That is such a good tip. Okay, let's fast forward. The detective work pays off. You used your clean incognito window, you dug through the digital attic, you searched the old inboxes, and you finally found the exact email address attached to that rogue older account. Now, the creator is presented with a highly consequential choice on how to actually fix step 2.
Yes. Google lays out 2 official, distinct paths to resolve the duplicate error once you finally locate the source.
Path 1 is the most straightforward, right? You simply use the existing older account that you just tracked down.
If that older account is still active, you can successfully log into it and it is registered under your correct current legal payee name. This is almost always the optimal route.
So what's the actual workflow for that?
You go back into YouTube Studio, you click to change or correct the association, and when the system prompts you for a Google account, you deliberately feed it that older email address.
You are basically telling the system, you're right, I do have an identity on file, here are the keys to it. And the primary benefit of Path 1 is the sheer speed of the resolution.
Speed is the distinct advantage there. If the old account is in good standing, associating it through YouTube Studio often takes just a few minutes, maybe a few hours, to fully process.
But there is a second option, Path 2. You choose to permanently close the older account, freeing up your identity so you can use a newly created AdSense account attached to your current channel email.
That's the alternative, yes.
So what does this all mean for the listener who's just sitting there staring at their screen, desperate to just start earning the money they feel they're owed? Is there a hidden danger in picking path 2 just because you want a cleaner, newer email setup?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the danger of picking path 2 carelessly is immense.
Really? How so?
Well, path 2 requires you to formally, procedurally close the old account using Google's official teardown instructions. And to be absolutely clear, simply deleting the old email address from your Google profile does not close the AdSense account.
Oh, wow. So just tracking the email isn't enough.
No. Deleting the email just permanently locks you out of the vault while the vault itself remains active on Google's servers, which basically makes the duplicate error impossible to fix.
That sounds like a nightmare. So you have to go inside the AdSense dashboard and formally initiate the shutdown protocol.
Yes. And even then, it's not instant. You have to verify that the old account doesn't have an unpaid balance sitting there, or that it isn't currently acting as the payment processor for a website or another YouTube channel you run.
So the timeline for path 2 is pretty grueling compared to path 1.
Very grueling. Closing an established account, waiting for the servers to purge the record, and then getting a brand new application approved and linked can take days and frequently stretches into weeks. And there is a massive mechanical trapdoor hidden in this process.
A trapdoor?
Yes. YouTube currently enforces a strict limit on how frequently you can change a linked AdSense account. You are only permitted to change it once every 32 days.
32 days. That is an incredibly specific number. Why would Google lock a creator out of their own settings for over a month?
It is not an arbitrary number. That 32-day lock is tied directly to global banking cycles and anti-money laundering regulations.
Those illegal things.
Exactly. It acts as a financial cooling-off period. It prevents rapid-fire account switching by bad actors or hackers who might try to take over a channel and rapidly siphon stolen ad revenue into different offshore accounts before the end-of-month payout cycle completes. The system literally freezes the routing to ensure financial stability.
That makes the paper jam analogy from earlier terrifyingly real. If you panic, make a hasty decision, and link the wrong account just trying to rush the process, you could trigger that 32-day security freeze.
And then you're stuck.
You lock yourself in a month-long purgatory where you cannot alter a single setting no matter how much you plead with creator support.
Which is exactly why the definitive guide emphasizes making one highly informed choice and then letting the automated process complete. You have to stop bouncing between browser tabs, do the audit, make your choice, execute the steps in YouTube Studio, and then step away from the keyboard and wait.
So let's say you navigate the minefield perfectly. You've done the thorough audit. You chose path 1 and linked the old account. You followed the steps in YouTube Studio using a private window, and finally the screen refreshes. Step 2 magically updates to say done. The relief washes over you.
It's a great feeling.
But you check your creator dashboard the next day, and there is no revenue showing up. I think we need to recalibrate some expectations about what done actually means.
This raises an important question about the vast gap between a creator's expectations and Google's administrative reality.
Yeah, because done doesn't mean paid.
Exactly. Getting step 2 to finally say done is a tremendous victory, but you have to understand the mechanics of the pipeline. Completing step 2 purely means the payment bridge has been successfully built. The plumbing is finally connected to the house.
But the city hasn't turned the water on yet.
Precisely. Now that the financial routing is verified and linked, your channel actually enters the true YouTube Partner Program review queue. This is the moment where automated systems and actual human reviewers evaluate your channel's content as a whole.
Right, they're looking at the actual videos now.
Yes. They are checking to ensure your overall catalog complies with advertiser-friendly guidelines, copyright laws, and community standards. You just fix the paperwork. Now they review the product.
So resolving step 2 just gets you in the door of the waiting room. And the source material highlights that even after you pass that human review and get fully accepted into the program, you are still going to face a barrage of future administrative hurdles before money hits your checking account.
The monetization journey is highly bureaucratic. Once accepted, you still have to generate enough revenue to reach specific earning thresholds before a payout is actually triggered.
And there's tax paperwork, right?
Oh, yeah. You are legally required to submit formal tax information based on your country of residence. And perhaps the most surprising hurdle for modern creators. You have to wait for a physical piece of paper containing a PIN number to be mailed through the postal service to your actual home address.
Wait, a physical piece of paper. In 2026, a tech giant is still relying on snail mail.
They absolutely are.
The first time I heard that, I couldn't understand why they wouldn't just send a text message or a push notification.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the financial regulations we talked about earlier, right? It is a physical nexus check.
It is entirely about proving a physical nexus for tax jurisdiction. Think about it. A digital text message can be routed anywhere in the world in milliseconds.
Great.
By forcing you to receive a physical envelope at a declared residential address and type the code inside back into the computer, Google creates an auditable paper trail proving you physically reside exactly where you claim to reside. It is a critical mechanism for preventing massive international tax fraud. It grounds a purely digital business in physical legal reality.
It sounds incredibly daunting when we lay out all the red tape, but there's a massive silver lining here that I want to emphasize for anyone listening who is currently pulling their hair out over step 2.
And it's a big silver lining.
It really is. If you do the hard work, navigate the audit, and finally secure a clean, perfectly working AdSense account, you can link multiple YouTube channels to that single AdSense vault in the future.
It is a profound relief for creators who want to expand their brand. The rule is one account per legal identity, not one account per channel.
So if you launch a second channel for gaming or a third channel for podcast clips, you do not have to create a new AdSense account for each one. You simply link the new eligible channel to the AdSense account you just painstakingly repaired.
Exactly.
If you solve this puzzle correctly today, you never have to go through this specific duplicate account nightmare ever again. You solve it once, and your infrastructure is set for life.
You have to view solving step 2 as a structural investment in your business. It is deeply frustrating in the moment, but by forcing you to consolidate your digital identity, it builds an incredibly solid, legally compliant foundation for your entire enterprise moving forward.
Let's recap the core mission of this deep dive. Step 2 is not a dead end. When you see that error, it is a database matching problem. Your job is to find the old account. Choose your path deliberately, whether you utilize the old one for speed or formally close it to establish a new one strictly used YouTube Studio and incognito windows for the setup process, and above all, have the discipline to let the system update without forcing new applications into the queue.
Stop creating new problems and start identifying old footprints.
Yeah.
That has to be the mantra for anyone facing this error.
Stop creating. Start identifying. I think that perfectly encapsulates the practical advice. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought to mull over.
Let's hear it.
Throughout this entire discussion, we've analyzed how this rigorously strict, deeply frustrating duplicate account friction is a necessary byproduct of legal compliance and international tax requirements.
Because mechanically it has to be. The regulations demand it.
But what if it's not just accidental bureaucratic red tape? Think about the sheer scale of YouTube as a platform. Millions of people trying to monetize every single day. What if this incredibly high, frustrating wall right at the finish line is actually an intentional hurdle designed by Google's architecture? A deliberate mechanism to weed out uncommitted, impatient, or disorganized actors before they ever reach the true monetization phase.
You are suggesting it functions as a behavioral filter, like a stress test for future business partners.
Exactly that. Because if a creator cannot patiently handle a basic diagnostic audit of their own digital footprint, if their first instinct is to panic, thrash around and try to trick the system with fake emails, are they really mature enough to navigate complex copyright law, adhere to strict advertiser guidelines, and operate as a reliable corporate partner with Google?
That is a fascinating way to look at it.
It is just something to think about the next time you're staring at that error screen. You spent months, maybe years, putting in the hard work to reach that victory lap. And when you finally click Earn and hit that wall, just remember, the wall isn't there to stop you from succeeding. It's just there to make absolutely sure you know who holds the key to the vault.